Hey, welcome to the Untangled Blueprint, Lesson 7. This is the one where we learn how to really love and be loved. Today, we're going to build on the foundation we started by learning about disc profiles. If you remember, disc taught us how we and other people operate, our personality preferences, our strengths, our areas for growth, our triggers. This knowledge gave us tools to really understand ourselves better and help us stay grounded or anchored on our docks in those moments of emotional turbulence or chaos. Why is this so important? That emotional regulation we talked about is when we learn how to really stay firmly planted on our docks or get back up to our dock pretty quickly if we find ourselves falling off. Staying on our docks is crucial to living a feel good life. It feels good when we are in control. It feels good when we have a bird's eye view of the entire life out in front of us on that lake. And it happens when we can remember to ground ourselves in the truth about ourselves, the truth about other people, and remind ourselves of those truths. And it's really only then that we're able to choose how we want to respond to life's challenges. We're all sick of just reacting out of one of those lower level emotions like frustration or overwhelm or fear. But we've already established that staying on our docks requires more than just knowing about ourselves and other people. It's about doing something differently with that information than we've done before. It means that we learn to use this new information for the greater benefit of everybody. It also means we're taking the time to understand how we connect with people on an emotional level. So as humans, it's not just connection we crave. We crave connection, but it's really about the depth of that connection in the relationships that matter the most to us that really matters. So for those relationships, we have to be invested a little bit more to make them successful. In those relationships, we have to trade I have to with I get to. We trade I should with I want to. So we get to show up for the people in our lives in a way that they can relate to us because they mean the most to us. We want to have the best possible relationships with these people that we can. And that's where today's lesson comes in. Today, we're diving into your newest tool, and it's called the five love languages. And this is a concept that's going to help you understand how you and your loved ones prefer to both give and receive love. So, for this lesson, I would love for you to take this quiz before you listen. The link to the quiz was included with your lesson, and it shouldn't take you more than a few minutes to take it. After you take it, you're going to be given percentages of what love languages are highest for you. And I'm going to encourage you to send it to the people that matter most to you in your life and ask them to take it too. You can tell them it's part of your personal development journey. You can tell them it's homework and you have to report back on, we're doing a survey on what the top love languages in families are. Or you can really just explain how you believe that you having this information can help you be a better person in their lives, a better mother, sister, daughter, friend, whatever it is you are to them. And ask them if they'd be willing to take it. And once you have this information on yourself and the people that matter most to you, you're going to have the ability to ground yourself in what is versus what you wish you had in these relationships. So, this will be especially important if the relationship wedge was something that you had a lower score on when you did your Wheel of Life assessment. This is the chance to say, what I know is my spouse shows love through acts of service, even though I prefer to receive love through quality time. I'm going to appreciate the coffee he brings me in the morning as he heads out to play a golf game alone when I would really like to spend time with him. He's showing me love in the way he sees most. Or maybe you're going to be able to say, what I know is my teenager feels most love through words of encouragement. And I tend to really point out all the things that they can do better, thinking that that's how I'm going to empower them to be the best version of themselves. But since I know this, I'm going to make a concerted effort to give them a little bit more praise instead of pointing out their mistakes or the places where they can grow. Or maybe instead of looking at a trinket that your sister gave you that you may not think you need and wondering why the heck she bought you that, you can acknowledge that maybe that's how she shows love. And she noticed that you were having a hard time at work and found a way to show you that she appreciates you by something that reminded her of you. So go ahead and take the quiz if you haven't done so already and blast it out to the people that you love the most. And just pause this if you haven't done that and come back to it whenever you have that information. Okay, so let's dig in. So, why are we using love languages as a tool to help us untangle from the thoughts, beliefs, and habits that no longer serve us? Well, when we look at the five love languages, we get to see another perspective on how other people interact with us. And knowing these love languages of other people, the people closest to us, can strengthen our relationships. It can help us with our kids, our siblings, our spouses, our partners, our parents, even our coworkers, and even ourselves. So by the end of this lesson, you're going to have a clearer understanding on how to both give love and receive love in a way that is intentional. And you're going to really be able to fully understand how this knowledge can help you be anchored on that dock in emotional regulation and be in connection, a deeper connection with the people that you love the most in ways you've never even dreamed of doing. So before we dive into each love language, we're going to start with an overview of where the concept comes from and why I believe it's so impactful to help you untangle from the thoughts, beliefs, and habits that keep you from that feel good life. So the five love languages were developed by a man named Dr. Gary Chapman, and he's a relationship counselor turned author. And his book, The Five Love Languages: How to Express Heartfelt Commitment to Your Mate, is based on the idea that everyone has a preferred way of giving and receiving love. And when these preferences are understood and aligned, our relationships are going to thrive. So Chapman identified five main ways that people will express and experience love. And as I read them, I want you to see which resonates the most with you and see if you think of any of the people that you love that maybe this is what would resonate with them. So, first, we have words of affirmation. And that's using words to uplift, encourage, or express appreciation. The next one we have is acts of service. And this is doing helpful tasks to show how we care for people. This can be to either ease a burden on someone or something someone could benefit from in some way. The next one is gifts. So this one can be misunderstood as materialism, but that's not what it is. It's actually just about showing love through these thoughtful, tangible things that can convey some sort of meaning. So while it could mean diamonds to those of us that love diamonds, or to those people in our lives that love giving things that have a value to them, it could also be as simple as a notebook, prayer card, a sweater, or even that little trinket that I talked about that your sister gave you that made her think of you, or even as simple as like a coffee. The next one we have is quality time. And this is focusing on undivided attention on someone and creating meaningful and memorable moments with them. And then last up is physical touch. So don't let your minds go straight to the hanky panky with this one. It really can be used in any relationship, and it's about using physical affection to communicate love and connection. It could be lying next to somebody, it could be a rub of a shoulder, a pat hello, holding hands. It's really just a way to show your love physically for somebody. So, like I said earlier, these five love languages are a framework and they're not limited to romantic relationships. They can be applied to every single relationship in our lives. And if you can find a way to use them just like DISC, this is going to help us really understand who people are. Understanding love languages is like being handled this universal translator for emotional connection with someone else. So, we're going to deeply explore every single love language in depth. And as we do this, I want you to really think about how this knowledge can help you recognize and appreciate the love in your life that is already present, and also how you can express it in better ways that are going to resonate more with the people you care about most, how you can show up in service to other people by understanding what their love language is. Okay. So first up, we're going to go into depth on words of affirmation. So like I said, this is all about using language to express love and appreciation. For someone who values this love language, hearing phrases like I'm proud of you or you mean so much to me or thank you for everything you do or can fill their emotional tank and make them truly feel seen and valued. This can be in actual words or it could be written in a note or it could be written in a text or an email. Some people find it easier to write out the words they feel if this isn't naturally your love language. It may be difficult for you to express this in words that just come to you. But for us, understanding this love language is really crucial because we've already learned how words carry such big power, right? They have that energy. The way we speak to other people and to ourselves can either build connections or break them down. It can create distance in them. So, if someone in your life values words of affirmations, really learning to express love through kind, encouraging language can transform that relationship. And in the same sense, becoming mindful of your own internal dialogue is one of the main ways that we can untangle from self doubt and really cultivate self love. So, if words of affirmation is one of your main love language, you really need to pay attention to how often you offer yourself those affirming words. Instead of criticizing yourself, practice these affirmations or alternatives to affirmations that we learned and they say things like I'm capable, or I'm learning to, or I'm worthy of, or I'm open to, or I'm beginning to. If this is your love language, you could also write love notes to yourself. You could jot down daily affirmations, or you can even look in the mirror and pull a Mel Robbins by high fiving yourself and telling yourself, I'm really proud of the woman you're becoming. Words like this have that positive energy and they really do have the power to heal. And when you use them intentionally for yourself and for other people, they can be really, really, really powerful. So, what if other people in your life have words of affirmation as their main love language? Well, imagine your teenage daughter is upset after a tough day at school. A simple, I'm so proud of how you handled that situation can be more powerful than any advice or gesture that you could give her. Or I'm sure you're going to come up with a really great solution. Could be something that helps them get firmly on their dock and you to be able to show how much you appreciate and affirm who they are. Or if it's your sibling and they're navigating some challenging personal situation, you can say something like, I really admire your strength and how you're handling this. And that can validate their effort and make them feel seen and heard and understood. And if it's your spouse that speaks in this love language, maybe instead of pointing out what they didn't do, like forgetting to take out the garbage or wash the dishes, you can choose to speak in their love language by focusing on what they did do. And maybe you could say something like, thank you so much for making my coffee this morning. It made me feel really cared for, and then completely ignore the thing they didn't do. And I'm going to tell you, if this is their love language, they may hear that and be so encouraged that they go and do the thing that you notice they didn't do just out of return reciprocating love for you because their cup of love has already been filled and now they have love to give. Maybe it's one of your parents and they need words of affirmation. Maybe a statement like, I really value everything you've done for our family can remind them of their continued importance to you. So if this is your language, your love language, what would you want to hear most to make you feel good? And maybe consider sharing that with the people you love and start showing up for other people, sharing those same things that would make you feel good with what other people would feel good. Okay. So next up, we have acts of service. So acts of service really can be anything involving doing something thoughtful or helpful to show someone that you love or you care. And this might come naturally to you. It could include making dinner for someone, helping someone with a project, or taking care of something on a to-do list without being asked to do it. For people that value this language, actions really, truly do speak louder than words. For those of us on an emotional growth journey, understanding this love language is really important because it can teach us to look beyond words and focus on people's actions. When someone in your life values acts of service, they feel most loved when when you can ease their burden, or you can show them thoughtfulness through your actions, and they show their love by doing things they're doing. So I always say we're human beings, not human doings, but in this case, for those of us that wear many hats, this love language and acknowledging all the different things we're doing really can remind us that sometimes love is about doing, and people can do things for us in order to show us that we're loved. We don't have to take on the burden of doing everything for ourselves. So, if that's your love language, you can show up for yourself using these services as well. You can ask yourself, how can I serve myself today? And self love through acts of service might look like taking the time to cook yourself a healthy meal, or organizing your space, or tackling a task that's really been weighing on you so that you can cross it off the to do list. Think about it as taking care of your future self. Every little thing you can do for yourself now, if this is your love language, makes a big impact. You deserve the same care and attention and love that you give to other people. But what about if you have a kid that's overwhelmed? Maybe they're in college, and either of your love language is acts of service. You might offer to help them study, or you could proofread a paper for them, or you can show up and surprise them and bring them a home cooked meal, or do their laundry, or straighten up their dorm room or their apartment. Doing any of these things can communicate, I see your hard work and I'm here to support you. Um, what about if your siblings have love languages of acts of service? If your sister often takes a lot of family responsibilities, maybe you can offer to do a task that's normally hers, or take one over completely, or do something that's on her list for her family that can help her make feel like she's cared for. Maybe you can offer to just pick her kids up for school and take them out. You get to spend quality time with them, and you get to do an act of service for her, or offer to babysit, or just come over. And what the best thing for me when I had my babies was if someone came over and offered to do my laundry while they were there, right? You can proactively do something for other people in your life, like doing that laundry, or folding that laundry, or washing their car, or fixing something they've been avoiding. Or even for our parents who struggle with technology, maybe we could set up a computer, or set up an email without being asked to do it. This is just tangible ways to show people that we love them. So, if this is your love language, think about how you would like someone to show up for you. And is there a way you can communicate that to other people that you love? And do you think you'd be happier if the people in your life knew that this is how you love to be loved? Maybe you can communicate that with them. And if other people in your life you think this is their love language, how can you best show up in acts of service for them, even if it might not come naturally to you? Okay, so next up, we're going to talk about one of my favorites, gifts. I love gifts, and this one is my second highest ranked love languages. So, receiving gifts and giving gifts is about the thoughtfulness behind a tangible item. So, this is where phrases like "it's the thought that counts" really originated. Giving or receiving things is not about the cost, it's more about the sentimental value. So, for people who value this love language, a small, meaningful gift like their favorite coffee, or a handwritten card can even be a gift, or anything you found or saw at a store, or an event, or on vacation that made you think of them, can really speak volumes about how much they're loved or you're loved. So, understanding this love language is important because knowing that someone treasures a gift you've chosen for them can really deepen your bond. If gift giving is how you give love, it can also help you become more mindful and aware of the small gestures that other people use to show you their love and appreciation. So, what if your love language is gifts? Well, we don't have to wait for other people to give us a gift. We can show ourselves some love with gifts too. So, when was the last time you gave yourself the gift? It could be as simple as buying yourself flowers for your desk because it makes you feel good, or treating yourself to your favorite snack, or a massage, or even investing in something that nurtures your soul, like a retreat, or an overnight in a hotel, or buying yourself a cozy blanket. Self love through receiving gifts is a powerful way to remind ourselves that we are worthy of thoughtfulness and care, even if it comes from ourselves. Other ways we can give gifts to people in our lives with this language: you can surprise a friend or a family member with flowers or their favorite snack after a hard day, just to say, I was thinking about you. You can make a meal for a friend that's not feeling good. Or you could see a cute plaque in a boutique and get it for your sister-in-law, or a handwritten note or a treat that you can leave in your kid or your partner's lunch bag, or even a photo album or some sort of photo keepsake to remind your parents of how much your memories were cherished with them. All right. So next up, we have quality time. Quality time is about giving someone your full, undivided attention. And in this day and age, it's really, really tough. For people who value this love language, the connection is not necessarily about how much time you spend together, but the quality of that time. Listening, sharing, and being fully present together is what's important. It's important to understand this love language because it really teaches you the value of presence. So we all have these major love languages, the ones that most influence how we feel love or give love. But in this world filled with distractions, everyone can appreciate from someone offering you their full attention. It can make us feel tremendously seen and valued. Remember, all relationships thrive on connection, and nothing creates connection more powerfully than quality time. So, is this your love language? Do you think it is? Do your loved ones know how important this is to you? Maybe you get frustrated when you're in the same room as someone and you're not actually connecting and you're taking that frustration out on them, but you never really realized why. A simple conversation about what your love needs are can really transform your relationship. I have to remind my husband all the time to please put his phone down or stop looking at the television when we're having a conversation. He'll tell me that we're having a conversation and he's present, but if he's looking at the scores of the game on the TV, I don't feel that way. And if you aren't being fed emotionally by other people in that quality of time, you really might not be getting the most out of that relationship, or you might sink below the line or go down to that basement or leave your dock because you're feeling unseen or unheard or unappreciated or underappreciated. And if that's the case too, and it happens more often than not, you really can also spend quality time with yourself. So self love in this contact would mean carving out intentional time to connect with yourself. It can be a solo walk out in nature. It can be taking the time to journal, to create, to meditate, to sit quietly with a cup of tea, to make music. But whenever you dedicate time to the things that are important to you and to yourself, free from distractions, you really can remind yourself that you are worth the investment, that you are worthy of love, that you are lovable. So, what if we discover that other people in our lives need quality time and this isn't necessarily an easy one for us? How can we show up for them? Well, we can have one-on-one dates with people. It could be your sibling, it could be your kid, it could be a friend, and that's going to strengthen your bond. You can unplug from distractions when people are trying to talk to us. We could put down the phone, we could turn off the TV. We can just make sure that we're listening intently to even our parents' stories, even if they tend to repeat them over and over again. We can repeat back what we're hearing and show them that we're engaged. We can spend intentional time with people we love that value this love language, and it really can go a long way in helping them feel seen and heard and appreciated, and in helping us fuel that relationship, especially if the relationship wedge is something that we're working on in our wheel of life. And so the last one we're going to talk about is physical touch. So, like we said earlier, physical touch is really about expressing love through physical connection. It can be hugs, holding hands, or just even touching someone on the shoulder or patting them on the back. It's not necessarily in a sexual way, although if your partner and you, either of you speak in physical touch, this could be a big component of your relationship. But for people who value this love language, any kind of physical affection is going to communicate safety and comfort and love in a way that words or actions just don't do for them. So, understanding this love language is really important because touch is one of the most primal and powerful ways to connect with other people. It's one of our senses. Our built-in touch sensors are that primal force. So if someone you love really does value physical touch, or if you do, any kind of touch is going to matter. A simple hug or that gentle pat on the back, it really can speak volumes. And for those of us that this isn't one of our top love languages, we might not realize that. But it's really a reminder for everybody that sometimes love requires zero words at all. So, what if our primary love language is physical touch, but we don't have a partner? Well, self love through physical touch could look like wrapping yourself in a cozy blanket, practicing stretching or yoga, or getting a massage so that we can feel that physical touch. Even small gestures like just applying lotion mindfully to ourselves or soaking in a warm bath is going to touch our skin and remind us of the importance of being loved and nurturing our body and appreciating that we are a vessel of love and strength too. So, what about our kids? How can we show up if they need physical touch? Well, a hug after a tough day or a quick rub on their back when they're not feeling good is going to be able to do the trick. Or even that playful nudge when we're with our kids or even with our friend, like, ha ha ha, and you just like push them and nudge them. It can just reassure people that we love them. You'll notice that there are touchers. There was a big Friends episode, I think it was Soleil Moon Frye, and she was like a pusher. And every time she was excited, she would push the person. And everybody was like confused by why this person was doing this. Well, clearly, physical touch was her love language. And I read once that when you put a comforting hand on someone's shoulder, it can actually repair a bond that was broken or strained. That's how powerful physical touch is. And then I remember seeing that 20 seconds of a touch, which is like a really, really long touch. But if you could like hug somebody or embrace somebody or touch someone for a full 20 seconds, it's actually going to cause their bodies to release that the love hormone called oxytocin. And oxytocin reduces stress and it lowers blood pressure. And it's actually proven to strengthen an emotional connection between two people. So it's seriously like nature's little relationship booster. But if you're like me, where physical touch does not come naturally, 20 seconds feels like a really, really long time. But in reality, 3 seconds is enough to make a difference. A quick squeeze, a pat on the back, or just like a 3 second touch on someone's shoulder, or even a 3 second kiss can help the energy in a room. It can make someone feel acknowledged and even give this teeny tiny boost of oxytocin. And it basically says, hey, I see you. It's that kind of 3 second touch that's more than just like a pat. It's 3 seconds. If you could go 5 seconds, you're going to make a little bit of more of an impact. It actually will release some of our stress hormone called cortisol. 5 seconds is enough to say, I really care about you. I think about this when someone needs sympathy or when someone needs really love, when they're feeling sad and we want to release some of that cortisol level. If you could just touch their shoulder for 5 seconds, it could be just the right amount. If you could squeeze out 10 seconds, you're really getting somewhere because that oxytocin is really going to start to kick in and cortisol is actually going to release. But really, 20 seconds is that golden zone. If you can get to that 20-second hug or touch, the discomfort period is going to go away. And it's long enough to actually calm the nervous system, your nervous system and their nervous system. It reduces anxiety, it deepens connections. You're actually lowering cortisol and raising oxytocin so much. And you're saying, I've got you, we're in this together, you're not alone. Or I love you so much that I'm spending this extra time in this embrace. It's this kind of moment that can really change someone's day. And guess what? It doesn't have to stop at hugs or physical touch. You can hold hands, you can make eye contact. Like eye contact is considered physical touch, is actual um, connection with eye contact. 8 seconds of eye contact can foster a sense of closeness and attentiveness with anyone and help you really be present. And that's also going to help you if someone speaks in quality time. That eye contact is huge. So the next time you're hugging your kids or your partner or your close friend, just consider holding it like a little bit longer and making really a bigger impact. So that's it. That's really the lowdown on each of the five love languages. Hopefully by now you've taken the test. Maybe you've sent it to a few people. that you really love, playfully asking them to take this as an experiment for you. But once you figure out your top love language, or really maybe your top two, I find that some people have two that are really closely related in percentages. Like you have 28 and 29, right? Unless you have a big 50, you may have two that are pretty high up there. But after hearing all of these explanations, just reflect on how this knowledge can really make an impact in your life. It can definitely be challenging to be in relationships where someone doesn't naturally speak your love language or vice versa, but you really can make it work. It just requires intention. Sure, it might not feel familiar or comfortable for you at first, but the beautiful thing about human beings that I hope you're learning is that we can create a habit out of just about anything. It starts with our thoughts of, I get to do this. I want to do this. I must do this if relationships are important to me. And then that becomes the belief system of, this person really deserves this from me. And I get to show up like this because it's going to make an impact. And then we repeatedly do it, and we can make a habit of just about anything. Remember, a feel good life comes from untangling from the thoughts, beliefs, and habits that no longer serve us, and really putting in place the ones that do. So when we make this decision to make loving intentionally a priority, it's going to get easier and easier and more natural for us over time. And when we choose to show up in a way that someone in our lives needs that love, we're making a choice for the relationship. Instead of thinking, why do I have to do this for that person when they don't do it for me? We're thinking about it in a way that says, I'm so grateful that I have this person in my life. So I'm going to show this person love in a way that they can really receive it. And that inevitably is going to create a greater relationship. And that person's going to want to show up in doing the same thing for us. And we wanted that more connection all along. And us doing it first and often is really going to help create that. So this shift from have to and get to really will change everything. It's about living with intention and creating the feel good life that we all say we want. So now just think about any of those challenging relationships that you might have, the ones where you feel like no matter what you do, the other person just doesn't feel the love you're trying or to give them, or respond to the love you're trying to give them, and ask yourself how this new information can help you understand those relationships better, or past experiences better. Maybe you could go back and look at it with this new information and use that discernment, which is the ability to go back and see things and make a new decision based on the information. How can you communicate your own love language more clearly if you feel like it's not being met by the people that are in your life? Maybe you're realizing now they speak a different love language, and you have to communicate that your love language is different. And what do you notice about these love languages? What do you notice about the love language of the people closest to you? How are they already showing love in ways that maybe you didn't recognize it before? So the Beatles, John Lennon so famously wrote, All you need is love, right? I hope you're all singing away now that I said that. All you need is love. But really, truly, love is the most powerful force we have. And by understanding how we give and receive love, and how the people who matter most to us do the same, we really can unlock this power to create deeper, more meaningful relationships. And that, my friends, is what life is really all about. So your challenge this week is to, number one, recognize the love others are already showing you, maybe in ways you didn't notice before. Number two, intentionally speak someone else's love language at least once, even and especially if it's not the language that comes naturally to you. And number three, really bring up your love language in a passing conversation with someone who matters to you. Share maybe what you learned about yourself by knowing this information, or share how you think it can deepen your connection, or just share how you didn't realize this about yourself, and how exciting it is to know how you both give and receive love. Um, we're here to live this life of intention, and we're here to really be grounded in truth and connection. And these love languages are just our next tool to help us do that, not only in our relationships with other people, but most importantly, in our relationship with ourselves. So this week, we're just going to start noticing, what do you see? what's shifting for you, and you're going to jump and go in the group and maybe share what you're discovering. I can't wait to hear all about it from you guys. And I hope that you have found this information to be as impactful as I found it to be.